Gremlins 2, the new batch, is one of the staples of my childhood. I used to watch this movie almost every day as a kid. Most people prefer the first one, but me, well, I kind of like the second one a little bit more because it's funnier.
Gizmo, the Mogwai, ends up in New York, gets wet, 4 new gremlins appear, and in a matter of a few hours, the entire Clamp building is infested with gremlins.
I love the fact that there are so many gremlins and they each have their own personalities.
Like this goofball right here, the Electric Gremlin, and who could ever forget the gremlin that could talk, known as the Brain Gremlin.
To me, the movie was great, even though it flopped in the box office. Gremlins 2 on NES, however, is a different story. It's a very short but extremely difficult game to play. I wonder if I'm even going to be able to complete it.
The game begins with scenes of Billy releasing Gizmo from the cage he was put in. After that, Gizmo is basically loose in the building. He hops kind of funny and has a weapon. I think it looks like Gizmo is throwing tomatoes. You'd ask why? Well, in the movie, one of the scientists had created a tomato that would bounce up like a ball. So not only do you have tomatoes as weapons, but you also have tomatoes as enemies. Gremlins 2 is the only game I've ever seen where you kill a tomato by throwing another tomato at it. And you know what these tomatoes remind me of? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes! But these tomatoes are very difficult to use. Look here. I can shoot the tomato in 4 directions. If I want to shoot diagonally, however, Gizmo takes a step forward before he shoots. This can become problematic because you lose your positioning, thereby allowing enemies to hit you. I can't even hit this stupid bat. Look how much trouble I'm having. There are also many holes that you have to jump over. Fall into one and you lose some health that's in the form of hearts. What I don't understand here is that sometimes after you fall, you come back out with a balloon. It actually helps you to navigate around certain areas. But other times, after you fall, you don't get the balloon. It's not consistent. There are other items found within the game, such as the pogo stick that works like the star in Mario Brothers, and this bomb here that kills all the enemies on the screen. After you kill an enemy, they drop what appears to be marbles. They work as currency, and you can purchase items inside of a shop. The problem here is that you can only enter the shop once per stage and buy 1 item. Look, I have 100 CB, whatever the heck CB means, and Mr. Wing only lets you buy 1 item and you have to exit out. How utterly ridiculous. Each stage is divided into 2 parts. Once you complete both parts of the stage, you fight a boss at the end, which will always be one of the gremlins. So here I am in stage 1-2. I go to the right to check out what's over there. I kill the rat, hop over, and nothing. There's no reason whatsoever to come over this area. Why even have a hole here if there's no reason to hop over it in the first place? This area is completely useless. And near towards the end of the stage, they have another useless area. I'm wondering if the programmers were bored. So I've cleared the stage, and I get this match as a weapon. You get weapon upgrades in the game after every other stage that you complete. So much like in the movie, Gizmo gets wet, 4 new gremlins appear, and Gizmo is in deep trouble. So now we're in stage 2-1, and Gizmo is making his way around the vent where he was shoved into. There's all kinds of hazards that you have to watch out for. Oftentimes, you have to time your jumps here, or it's down you go. Also, your health is indicated by hearts. 2 hits dissolve 1 heart. Lose all of your hearts and Gizmo spins around and dies. Kinda reminds me of Mappy. Luckily, this game happens to be very generous with continues. You're given an infinite amount of them. Stage 2-2 is much of the same thing. You also start seeing much of the gremlins from the movie. This area here is next to impossible. The fire gremlin has a pattern, but by the time you figure it out, trust me, you've already fallen at least 3 times off of those ledges. Screw this, man. I'm using the balloon to pass this part here. Stage 2-2 is a gamer's nightmare. The programmers went full masochist with the amount of hazards here. Just look at all this mess. Thank God for this balloon though, it really helps to navigate these areas whenever it decides to show up. Just before I reach the end of this level, here's the door that leads to the old man's shop. You're given a choice of items to buy, but what item does what here? You have to use your years of video game experience to deduce what each item does here, since you're not told what an item does in this game. So I made it to the end of the stage, and here comes the first boss of this game. It looks like the Mohawk Gremlin. Shouldn't he be the final boss though? In any case, he has a predictable pattern, he shouldn't give you too much trouble. In stage 3-1, you seem to be back at the offices of the Clamp building and have a paperclip as a weapon. Look at this movie light though. Can it be positioned any more inconveniently? I can't even get across the next part of this stage. The watch stops time, thereby stopping all enemies, but because of the stupid light I lost the momentum that I had when I got it. And what are those anyway? Spikes? Now you're in the movie set area of the Clamp building, the kitchen where Cooking with Irma is filmed, and the graveyard where Grandpa Fred did his TV show. If you expect to make it through this level, I highly suggest that you get the weapon upgrade, because you ain't gonna make it far without it. Stage 3-2 has a weird setup. I'm not sure if you can consider it a programming error, but judge for yourself. See that area at the bottom? Now there's the pit. I step on that area, I fall. Makes sense. But look at the area on the right. It's the same as the bottom, yet I'm not falling down. Does that make any sense? How is a gamer supposed to distinguish between the two? I see all that black there, and I instinctively want to avoid it because I'm going to assume that I'm gonna fall if I step there. This is not consistent. I'm also curious as to why there are all these hazards around when there's a cubicle right there. That indicates that somebody works there. Imagine going to work and having all these hazards that you have to cross in order to do your job every day. So I make it to the end, and the next boss appears, which happens to be the Electric Gremlin. This son of a gun is very difficult. I die, and now I have to start the stage all over again.
Well, this game's not King Arthur and the Knights of Justice bad. It's actually not a bad game at all. It's just extremely frustrating to play. I'm not sure how a kid in 1990 was supposed to complete the entire thing. No, this is the kind of game where you would hand the controller over to your big brother for him to beat for you. And when he couldn't do it, you'd have to call your mom over, and your mom would look at you, slap you upside the head, and tell you to turn this game off. It's time to go. It's time to go to the dinner table and get your dinner.
I've somehow managed to beat the Electric Gremlin, and now we're on to the next stage. For making it this far, I just noticed that when you kill your enemies, they don't respawn. Again, that's incredibly fair. Here's the part where you have two areas to go to. I'm going to choose the easiest path. Stage 4-2 is a frustrating gauntlet of terror. I've died so many times that if it wasn't for the sake of this game review, I'd have thrown this game out of my window already. And as if to add insult to injury, this stage also has its own useless area. Absolutely no reason to have areas like this in the game. So finally I hit the boss Gremlin, and this guy's on a whole other level of hard. Having to shoot this dude while trying to avoid the spikes on the floor is too much. You die here, you start this level all over again. Nothing much to say about the fifth and final stage. Navigate all the way to the end and you fight the Mohawk Gremlin in spider form for the last time. Almost every stage and boss here was a difficult challenge, but you'd be surprised that the last Gremlin is easy as pie. Just shoot at him and stay in between his legs, or cheat here like I did and he'll be dead in no time. The Mohawk Gremlin burns up, and then you get the last scene of the game. You know, I can't help but find it funny that a happy song is playing while the Gremlins are being slaughtered one by one.
In case you're wondering if there was a Gremlins 1, there actually was, on the Atari 5200. And there was also another Gremlins game on the Game Boy Advance entitled Stripe vs. Gizmo. Gremlins 2 on the NES is not for your little brother, man. This game is bad news. This game is extremely difficult. Definitely Take advantage of the password system if you plan on beating it. Play it at your own peril. As for me, I have never played this game ever again. Review's over. See you next time.